I was once asked, what happens to a child once that child has been aborted? And the short answer is this: the child only returns back to non-physical reality where it began. How do we know this? Because at the core of each human being, even a fetus, there's a soul. And the soul is made up of energy, and energy is indestructible. So by nature, we are indestructible. So the only place for us to go is back to non-physical reality where we began. Okay. Now here's the explanation and the long answer, right? Now, prior to entering this earth system, every soul has a choice of whether or not it wants to have a human experience. All right. Now, in the event that that soul has made a choice to enter into the human system to have a human experience with physical reality, there's a choice that the soul can also make in regards to the length of its existence, right? And in some cases, some souls choose to limit their existence to the mother's womb. Others choose to go through the full term of a pregnancy and develop a human body and be born into a human body, which is an earth suit, which is the form that the soul will have and develop as it goes along in life. Okay? But the soul is the choice is simply up to the soul. Now, here's the thing. Not every soul chooses to have a full-on life. Some souls just want a tiny, small experience with human reality, physical reality, human existence, right? And sometimes that's limited to the womb of a woman. It's sort of like if you go to a beach or a lake and you don't want to get your whole body wet, you just want to get your foot wet, right? The soul does that all the time. Because some souls don't want to have a full-on human experience. Some soul just wants to just test and see what it's like until it makes a decision to go ahead and have a full-on human experience, right? And so that decision is made through a soul contract, through a life contract that soul has with its creators, which is a physical human, male and a female, right? Soul contracts are made, agreed upon, and determined by all the parties that's involved in the creation of that fetus. And believe it or not, all parties agree to whatever conditions is laid out in that contract, right? So for the soul just wanted a limited human experience. And in addition to accomplishing its goal and having a very small, experience with physical reality, the mother of that fetus also has subconsciously, on a soul level, agreed to those terms. All right. The soul knew the decision that the mother was going to make in regards to that abortion, which is why the soul chose that particular person, human, to carry out its own plans. The mother did not know, or the carrier is not aware of the soul contract, because as we enter into this earth system ourselves, a veil is put over our consciousness, and we forget 99.9, let's say, just for argument's sake, of who we really are, our oversoul, all the lifetimes, all the accumulated information that we have gathered during the multiple lifetimes that we have existed in this earth. That's left behind. And the reason for that is that we are on a path of self-discovery here, to expand our consciousness, to expand our energy, to become more creative, and to learn what it is like to have physical experiences with physical reality and the things that we create. And in order for us to know that, we have to forget what we have already learned, because our purpose is to expand and add on to whatever it is we have learned from our past lives to begin with, right? So we have to forget who we are in order to go on a path of self-discovery, to rediscover, reinvent, and recreate new things and expand our consciousness to share with our oversoul as we transition back over to non-physical reality. Okay? And so the human, the mother, the carrier, is not aware of this contract, but has agreed to the contract nonetheless for her own purposes as well. Perhaps she only wanted to have, on a subconscious level, on a soul level, she only wanted to have that experience of feeling what it would feel like to be pregnant, to create something within herself. Perhaps she made this contract for the greater good of her, for her development later on in life, to get all the experiences and all the lessons that come from not only her getting pregnant, the means and the ways that she has gotten pregnant, but also to have that actual feeling of pregnancy, of carrying something that she actually created, and also all the lessons and experiences that she will have as a result of her choice of terminating the pregnancy. It will serve her down the line. And we know this because if you ask anyone who has been through hell and back in their life, because most of us have, if we live to the middle age, right? We have been through hell and back, right? And we have had some very traumatic experiences in our life. And when you ask someone who has come to a place of fulfillment in their life at some point later in their life, you ask them, well, what would you change about your life if you were given an opportunity to? And most of them will say absolutely nothing, because had it not been for X, Y, and Z, I would not be the mother that I am today. I would not be the person that I am today. I would have not learned these lessons. So at the end of the day, we come to a place of consciousness knowing that all things work together for good. And then things start coming into fulfillment where we start realizing that the things that has happened to us when we were younger, or the choices that we have made, actually, we made those choices to bring us to this point. Like, those choices served us in some way. Okay? And had it not been for those choices, we wouldn't be here today. So whatever's not revealed then will definitely be revealed later on. And this is why a lot of us are able to, formulate some level of gratitude in our lives, even for the traumatic experiences, the bad choices, and all those things that happen to us. Because at some point we realize that they all have served us, if we're able to find the value in those things. All right. But there are spiritual contracts that we have made with every single person that are in our soul families. And I'm talking about cousins and aunts and uncles, and even extended soul contracts, like with, like your community. Everyone plays a part, and everyone has agreed to, come and share your human experience with you and to help you along the way, which is why there are so many resources in particular parts of the world. If you have chosen to be born in a certain part of the world where there are, plenty of resources to help you grow, you have placed and agreed to all those things. You have set all that up. We planned it all. There are no accidents in this lifetime. There are absolutely no accidents. We have planned it all. We have set up all the people that enter into our lives, even at the later stages of our lives. Those are spiritual contracts. We have said, I'm more than likely, from what I heard about Earth, it's a hell of a ride and we can get lost. So I'm going to need to set up some resources for myself. I'm going to need you to come into my life at this age, because if I have fallen, I'm going to need someone to help me up. And if for some reason I'm hard-headed and I don't get it here, I'm gonna have this person set up over there, and that person set up over there, and I want to have this, twin flame over here, and I want to have this soulmate over here, because I'm gonna need some help in this life. Guys, nothing happens by accident. There is nothing in this planet that has happened by accidents. By accident. I don't care how dark, I don't care how egregious, I don't care how selfish it seems. There are no accidents. We plan it all. And we formulated those spiritual contracts prior to coming to this earth. And we're here to experience everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The whole reason that we have chosen to come here is to have a human experience. But to have a human experience, we needed a body, because emotions are a language of the body. And don't you know, at our core, we are pure light. We are pure love. But it's one thing to be love, and it's a whole other thing to experience love on a physical level. On a physical level. It's one thing to be beauty, to be naturally beauty in our pure form, our pure essence of spirit. But it's another thing to experience that beauty through your physical senses, your eyes, your ears, your touch. To hug a tree. It's one thing to be forgiveness, because at the core of who we are, our essence is forgiveness. But it's a whole other thing to experience the effects of forgiveness, to give it and to receive it, and how it feels in your body. And this is why we're here. This is why we're here. Don't you know that we are praised, that we are honored for being here? Because it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to be here. Now, getting here, making a choice to have a human experience is one thing. That's the easy part. But staying here is the hard part, because it's sort of like the Hunger Games in this world. We got to figure out how to survive, how to not get sick, how to possibly have a family if that's what we choose to do, and how to create a life that we can absolutely be in love with. And most people don't succeed at that at all. They don't succeed. Which is why so many souls choose to have temporary, very short spans of experiences with physical human reality. And then they leave because of how hard it really is. Life is not an error. It's a program. And our physical senses were created to distract us from the spiritual program, the orchestration that's happening behind the scenes, which is the soul's purpose. So experiencing physical reality is really the icing on the cake, so to speak. We're distracted by cards and love and emotions and sexual experiences and all these physical things that make us feel good. And that's on purpose. That's on purpose. And it's a surprise, because even though in non-physical reality, we have been told of these experiences, you can never know what it really is until you actually come down here and experience those things. You don't really get the full idea of what a life course is until you come down here and you develop your body and you're able to experience these things. And so life is a surprise at every single turn. And there are many souls that are waiting to have their chance at this experience, which is why we are honored if we've made it to any particular point. Typically, when we transition from life back to non-physical reality, don't you know you are accompanied by your cousin souls, your sister souls, your mother, your father souls, your extended family souls, or a soul that you have done multiple lifetimes with, and you're up there and you're saying, wow, life, that was a trip. Like that was something else. And your cousin's soul is like, oh my God, what was it like? What was it like? Man, it was a thrill. I can't even begin to explain to you the experiences that I've had on earth, the difference that I made. I've changed systems, or I've become an engineer and built infrastructures, or I was able to become a labor and delivery nurse and help other souls come into this world. I was part of something huge. Or I just went down there to have fun, to play with creation and bump my head a million times. Whatever the case is, it's a hell of a ride. And every soul is excited to embark on the same journey to see exactly what it's like to expand your energy into physical reality and have physical experiences with the things that we create on this earth. So everything is a program. Everything is a choice. And the soul has made that choice. I don't care how tragic someone ends in this life. It's not an accident. It was agreed upon. As hard as a pill as that is to swallow, it was agreed upon. Some things are agreed upon for the greater good. Casualties of war, people who are innocent, who appear to be innocent, bystanders of tragic things that happen. There's a program running behind that. There's a purpose for all of that. And there are sacrificial souls that agree to come here and have certain experiences. So I'm not saying that you guys have to believe all of this. What I'm saying is open up your minds to the probability that there is an orchestration of a soul, of a spirit that's happening behind the scenes, all right? And that has agreed to certain experiences in this lifetime. Understand who you are. Start doing some research about who you really are, spirit, soul, and body. Learn about each aspect of yourself, because we are so, we're experienced as far as our human physical experience, nature. But what about your soul? Have you ever thought about the functions of your soul? The function, the purpose of your words, your mind, your thoughts, and how powerful they are. We all know that they're powerful, right? So it'll serve us to start diving into who we really are at our core and start exploring purposes, energy fields, creation, and seeing how we are responsible for it all. So for all the women out there who have had abortions in their lives and made that choice and feel condemned to some degree, or feel a sense of guilt as if you're going to hell maybe, or you're being punished. No, you're not. It's part of human existence. It's part of self-discovery. It's a contract that was secretly made. And I'm not condoning abortion by no means. I'm just not judging it. And I'm giving you an explanation of a probable reality in relation to your choices. Perhaps your choices was agreed upon on a spiritual level. Did that abortion teach you anything? Are you a better parent because of it now? What are the good things that you have gotten from that experience? What have you learned from that experience? Because if you have learned anything that's worth learning, that was the purpose of that experience. That was the purpose of that choice. And you set it up for yourself to learn certain things. And sometimes we get things later on in life. Sometimes it appears that we haven't gotten the message at all or learned anything at all. But life is expansive. You have to learn. You have to grow. As our bodies grow, our consciousness grows. Because with each day comes new experiences. Even if you're repeating the same type of lifestyle, you're still learning something new. So don't beat yourself up over choices that you have made. Rather, dig deeper into the idea of spiritual consciousness and how it plays a part in our existence. It'll serve you to do that. It'll having that knowledge gives you the wisdom to ease some of the unnecessary suffering that you have been experiencing during this lifetime through choices that you've had, that you've made. I'm not condoning anything, evil or hurtful towards anyone, but I do know that there are spiritual contracts, that there are soul contracts that each one of us had to make before we got here. We didn't just drop here on this planet and ended up here and just was born here. We came here. We woke up here because we chose to. And I always say, as soon as a child is born, they're old enough to die, because life and death enters into this world together. We can't have one without the other. You can't experience an up without a down first. You can't experience an in without being out first. You can't experience light without darkness, because light only shines in the darkness. These are parallel realities that go hand in hand. And so when we're experiencing something bad, or we're going through something that doesn't feel good, it doesn't mean that it's not supposed to be there. It doesn't mean that it doesn't serve a purpose. It means that you will never be able to appreciate the good unless you go through something bad. Because if it was just that good was here, then that's no learning. We have to understand why good exists and why it's good to operate in a good frequency on a high energy. We have to understand that lesson. And the only way for us to understand that is to go through it first. So that way we can become better human beings. That's more kinder to other human beings, more compassionate to other human beings. So when we see someone doing something egregious, the best thing to do is to not judge it. Even if you can't make peace with what I'm saying, don't judge it. Because you don't know what program, you don't know what God is doing or has done or why it's been done. All right. So I don't know who needed to hear that, but there you have it. And by the way, I am publishing 2 books. One of them is available for pre-sale right now, titled The Contract, Life and Death by Design. The other one is Suicide in the Soul. And you can pre-order The Contract, Life and Death by Design on my website, lifedeathbydesign.com. lifedeathbydesign.com. All right. Also, if you just visit my other website, which is lenacrespo.com, you can see what I do. I am a mindset coach who specializes in spiritual and human psychology. And also on that website, there's also a link for my books. All right. So thank you for joining me. I hope this wasn't too much for you, but if it is, that's okay. Keep on replaying it and you'll understand it, and listen to a lot more of my other videos that I have, and where I go into depth about the human experience from a metaphysical perspective, which is a spiritual perspective. All right. So with that being said, see you on my next video. Bye-bye.